are lots of things all around us, exciting things that surround us.
But how does it work?
Do you know?
How is it made?
Do you know? Things that go up, things that go down, things that go pop, things that go round, with special cameras to show you inside. It's going to be a big surprise.
But how does it work?
Do you know?
How is it made?
Do you know? Do you know?
Let's find out!
Hello, I'm Maddie, and today I've come to the park to ride my bike. Have you learnt how to ride a bike? Now, they say once you've learnt, you never forget. But do you know how a bike works? Let's find out. How does it work?
A bike.
When I ride my bike, I put my hands on the handlebars like this, and I put my feet on the pedals. And you can see that as I push the pedals, the wheels go round too, and this is what makes the bike move. But how do the pedals make the wheels go round? Well, that's thanks to something called the chain. The chain is this large metal loop here. It's made of lots of smaller pieces of metal that are fixed together called links. The chain goes around this large metal cog, which is attached to the pedals, and you can follow it back to the smaller metal cog, which is attached to the wheel. But to see how the chain makes the bike move, we need to take a closer look. When you push the pedals with your feet, they turn the big cog in the middle of the bike round and round. The big cog has teeth all around the edge. And the chain links have little holes in. The holes hook onto the teeth. When the pedals turn the big cog, the teeth pull the chain around too. At the other end of the chain is a smaller cog. This one is attached to the back wheel. As the chain is pulled around the big cog by the pedals, the holes hook onto the teeth on the little cog, which turns the back wheel and pushes the bike along. This means we can go zooming along on our bikes. Whee! How clever is that? I don't know about you, but I want to see all of that going on for real. So I'm going to go on another ride on my bike. But so you can see the chain working close up in action, I've got my special little camera here. Let's attach it to the bike. Let's go. Can you see my feet on the pedals turning the big cog? And look, can you see the chain moving? And the little cog that's turning the back wheel? Can you hear the sound of all the parts working together? Clickety-click, clickety-click, clickety-click. Brilliant! I love riding my bike. But what about the front wheel? The front wheel isn't attached to a chain, so how does it move? As the back wheel turns on the ground, the front wheel gets pushed along too. So even though it's not attached to the chain, it still turns. And of course the front wheel has another very important job. Can you guess what it is? Well, the front wheel is attached to the handlebars. And if I turn the handlebars one way, like this, the front wheel follows. And if I turn them the other way, the front wheel goes the same way and the bike goes that way too. The front wheel steers the bike, making sure I can stay safe and not bump into things. What was your favourite part about seeing a bike chain work? I liked seeing the cogs moving. Do you remember what you call this bit of the bike? The long piece that loops around the cog? Yes, that's it. It's called the bike chain. Did you hear the sounds all the parts of the bike made when I was riding? And did you see the way the pedals made the chain move and turn the bike wheel? So the next time you ride your bike or see someone else riding theirs, you'll know just how it works. But there are so many other fun things to do outside. What do you like to do? I think being outside is a great place to play with a ball. There are lots of different types of balls. Beach balls to play with in the sand. Soft balls to play bat and ball. Small balls to roll along the ground. Balls to kick. But one of my favourite games is catch. And all you need for that is a tennis ball. Tennis balls can be all sorts of different colours and they're nice and fluffy. But do you know how a tennis ball is made? Let's find out. How is it made?
A tennis ball.
The life of a tennis ball starts here, in a tennis ball factory. They make thousands of tennis balls here and they come in all sorts of different colours. There are orange ones, pink ones, green ones, and of course, my favourite, yellow and red ones. I'm going to show you where it all starts. This is a big block of rubber. And rubber is a stretchy material that's used to make lots of different things, like the tyres on a bicycle, the sole of your shoe, or even a tennis ball. And rubber actually comes from the inside of a rubber tree. And it's sent to factories just like this one to be turned into lots of different things. When that big block of rubber gets put on this hot rolling machine, it turns black. But how does that become a tennis ball? This is Andy. He works at the factory and he's going to mix up the rubber with some special ingredients to make it really strong and bouncy. It makes lots of dust. It's like it's snowing inside. Let's go see what happens next. Andy's now adding his special ingredients to the black rubber. It makes it stretchy, like dough. It's a bit noisy, isn't it? Thank you. Wow. So this is what it looks like once it comes off the machine. Doesn't look much like a ball yet, does it? Rubber is very soft and bendy. And once Andy has fed those rolls of rubber into the machine, inside, it's being squished together and pushed through a small hole. This turns the rubber into something called nuggets. And this is what they look like. Just the right amount of rubber to make half a tennis ball. So 2 nuggets will make 1 ball. When the rubber nuggets have cooled down, they are lined up in a big tray called a mould. This machine looks like a big face, doesn't it? You can see 2 eyes, a nose, and a big mouth. And look, our nuggets are being fed into the mouth of the machine. Can you guess what happens to the nuggets next? Inside the machine, the nuggets get pressed together by a heavy weight. It weighs the same as 3 lorries. How heavy is that? And can you hear the sound? It sounds like a steam train just chugging along. Let's see what all that weight on the mould has done to the rubber nuggets. Wow, for the first time, they're actually starting to look like balls, but they're half balls at the moment, and you can't play anything with that. So we need to stick them together. And this machine will do just the job. It's another pressing machine. As the machine heats the balls, it makes the rubber soft and sticky so that the two sides are glued together. Look, here we have our tennis ball. Look how bouncy it is. Do you think it's finished? Not quite. There's one final step, and that is its brightly coloured fuzzy coat. And this is where they put their coats on. The coats arrive at the factory like this, in 2 pieces of material. It feels all fuzzy. Do you know what animal this material comes from? Well, I bought a special camera with me. It's like a microscope, which makes really small things look really big. Let's use it on our fuzzy material to see if it can help you guess what animal this comes from. Whoa, look at that! You can see every tiny part of the cloth, and those little stringy bits are called fibres, and they help the ball to fly through the air. Ah, I think I've seen something like this before. Have you guessed the animal? Yep, it's a sheep. This material comes from wool, which you get from a sheep's coat. Our ball has now been covered in glue, and it's time to put its woolly coat on. The coat comes in 2 pieces, and they fit together rather like a jigsaw. And there we go. The ball is almost finished, but the glue around the edges is still quite rough, and we want it to be nice and smooth, so it needs to go into the last machine. The balls go into the final press, which melts the glue and makes it smooth. And here we have our finished ball. The glue is smooth and flat, and that fuzzy material is all soft and fluffy. Now it's time to play with it. What was your favourite part of making a tennis ball? Can you remember what tennis balls are made of? That's right, rubber. And it comes from inside a rubber tree. Did you hear the sound the machine made when it squashed the rubber nuggets into half balls? It sounded like a steam train. And did you see what the cloth on the tennis ball looked like when we filmed it with my special camera? Look at all those fluffy little fibres. They come from a sheep's woolly coat. So the next time you play with the ball or go for a ride on a bike, you can tell everybody you know just how it was made and how it works. Anyone for a game of catch? See you next time. Hello, I'm Maddie, and today I'm by the river. It's a huge river called the Humber, and lots of boats, big and small, use it every day. Today I'm going on a ride in a very special boat. It's a boat they use to help people if they get into trouble on the river. It's a lifeboat. And here it is. But do you know how a lifeboat works? Let's find out. How does it work?
Lifeboat.
The back of the boat is called the stern, and it's where these 2 engines are. And each engine turns one of these. It's a propeller, and the propeller spins in the water to push the lifeboat along really fast. You should never play near water or boats without a grown-up, but I've got special permission to go on board today. Wow, look! There is lots of equipment to help the lifeboat crew find and rescue people quickly. This is a chart plotter. It's a map of the river. And if you look here, you can see our position just there. And this is a compass. A compass shows the lifeboat which direction they're travelling in. North, south, east or west. Sometimes it can be tricky for the lifeboat crew to spot people in the water, especially if it's at night. So they use a special camera to help them. It sits right up here at the back of the boat. It's called a thermal imaging camera. But how does a thermal imaging camera work? I think we need to take a closer look. When the lifeboat is sent out on a rescue mission, the thermal imaging camera is switched on. The camera measures thermal energy. That's either how hot, like our bodies, or cold, like the sea something is. It can see the thermal energy during the daytime and at night. The camera can be moved up and down, left and right, using a lever called a joystick. The picture from the camera is seen on a screen on board the boat. The hotter something is, the more heat or thermal energy it gives off. Our bodies are warm and give off lots of heat, and the camera will show this as a whitish grey colour. The river water is cold. This camera shows cold as red. So if a person is in trouble in the water, they can be spotted on the thermal camera, and the lifeboat crew can rescue them. Well, today, the lifeboat crew are doing a practice rescue, and they've given me permission to go with them. But to do that, I have to wear the right safety equipment. Because today is a practice rescue, Paul, one of the lifeboat crew members, is going to go in the water, and he's trained to do this. But so that we can see what the rescue looks like from the water, I'm going to put my special camera onto Paul's helmet. If this was a real rescue, the team would get a message from the Coast Guard and quickly get the boat out to sea. It's pushed into the water by a tractor until the water is deep enough to float in. We're on our way to go and find Paul. He's out there somewhere. Look, there's Paul. Can you see him on my special camera? Let's see how quickly the lifeboat crew can find him. Ian's using the chart plotter and the compass so that we go in the right direction in the water. And it looks like we're heading east. It is so fast. Can you see the two engines? They've lowered the propellers into the water. Woo! Where they're spinning around to push the lifeboat along quickly. They're noisy, aren't they? Wow! Simon's controlling the thermal imaging camera at the back of the boat to see if he can find Paul in the water. And this screen is showing us the picture from the camera. The river is so big, it's really hard to look for Paul with my own eyes. But the thermal camera can see Paul's warm body. Look, can you see that on the screen? I think I can see something. Looks like a white blob, doesn't it? There he is! We found Paul! The crew are trained to lift people safely and quickly onto the boat. Paul is safely on the boat with the help of special safety equipment. What did you love most about seeing how a lifeboat works? Do you remember the name of the special camera the crew used to find Paul? That's right, it was a thermal imaging camera. Did you hear the sound the lifeboat made when it sped through the water? And do you remember what colour Paul looked on the thermal imaging camera? That's right, it was white. Lifeboats are really useful vehicles, aren't they? And there are lots of useful vehicles that all do different jobs. There are tow trucks to move broken down cars, combine harvesters to cut crops, and even lorries to mix concrete. Concrete is really tough and very strong, so it's used to make buildings, like a house, and even roads to drive on. And look, this massive bridge is made from concrete too. do you know how concrete is made? Let's find out. How is it made?
Concrete.
Some of the materials we need to make concrete come from here, a quarry. A quarry is a place where rocks, sand and other materials can be dug out of the ground. And this one is massive. Quarries can be dangerous. You should never go into one without a grown-up. But I've been given special permission to be here today. This is gravel, and there is lots of it here. It's like being on a gravel mountain. Gravel is the main ingredient we need to make concrete. Gravel is made up of thousands of tiny pieces of rock found underground. The next ingredient is sand. And this sand is just like the sand you might find on a beach to make sandcastles with. The gravel and sand are dug out of the ground in the quarry by a big digger, then scooped into the back of a dumper truck. The dumper truck pours it all into a tank called a hopper. The sand and the gravel fall out of the hopper onto this, a conveyor belt. I wonder where all the sand and the gravel goes. Well, I've got my special camera with me, so we can find out. The conveyor belt moves pretty fast, so I wonder if we can make it to the end before the camera does. I've got another special camera with me, so I can bring you along to see if we can make it first. Wow, it really does move quickly. Let's see if we can catch the special camera. Can you see it? All the way over there. Are we going to make it to the end before the special camera? I don't know. Ah, it's beaten us. The sand and gravel falls through a tunnel underneath my feet and comes out here, where it then travels on a conveyor belt up to that enormous machine. And inside there, it falls onto a sieve. The sieve works so that the small pieces of sand fall through the holes, and the bigger pieces of gravel are trapped on top. Look, there's the sand falling from the big sieve. And there's the gravel. But there's one more main ingredient we need to make concrete. It's this grey powder. It's called cement. It's important not to get cement on your skin or in your eyes, so I'm wearing special gloves and glasses today. But when you add water to cement, it acts a little bit like a glue, so that when it dries, it hardens, and that holds all of the sand and gravel together, so it's really strong. And this is where all the ingredients come together. This entire building is one set of scales. And all of our dry ingredients go inside it to be weighed. It's a little bit like weighing the ingredients for a huge cake. Once the ingredients have been weighed, they travel along conveyor belts and pipes to the front of the building. And can you see those tanks there? That's where the water is stored. The water will help bind all the ingredients together. Wow. And they fall through this chute. But what do you think they fall into? That's right. It's a concrete mixing lorry. And here it comes now. Can you hear that grinding noise? That's the sound of all of the ingredients being mixed together inside the spinning drum. And it will keep on spinning and making that noise as it travels to a building site. I'm going to ride on the mixing lorry to take the concrete to the building site. By the time it gets there, the concrete is ready to pour to help build a new road.
Craig's using a chute so that he can pour the concrete exactly where the builders need it.
And to pour it, Craig needs to stop the drum and spin it in the opposite direction.
Oh, here it comes! It's like it's going down a slide. The dry ingredients in the water have mixed together so the concrete is slushy, and that makes it easier to pour out and spread. But as soon as it dries, it will go hard and be really strong. What did you like most about seeing how concrete's made?
Do you remember what glues the concrete together? That's right, it's cement. Did you hear the sound of the spinning drum on the concrete lorry? And did you see my special camera when we put it on the conveyor belt?
So the next time you see a concrete mixing lorry, you'll know what's inside and how it was made. And now you know how a lifeboat works to rescue people from the water. Right, I'm going to go watch the builders finish spreading the concrete. I'll see you next time. Hello, I'm Maddie, and today I'm doing some digging. Right, that's one bucket full, but I need to move all of this. We're going to need something bigger than this bucket. What do you think we could use? That's right, a digger. But do you know how a digger works? Let's find out.
How does it work?
Digger.
To find out how a digger works, I've come to a building site. You should never go on a building site without a grown-up, but I've got special permission to show you round. Come and see.
There's lots of different types of machines on a building site. Massive drills, concrete pouring trucks, and...
Here comes the digger! Can you hear the engine? It's noisy, isn't it? Wow! A digger is a really useful machine. This part is called the cab. It's where the driver sits. And this is Adrian. It's his job to operate the digger. Up there, the part that looks like a giant claw, is the bucket. Adrian, can you bring it down? Whoa! It's like a metal dinosaur. This bucket can carry a lot more stones and soil than my one can. The bucket is attached to the dipper because it dips up and down when the digger scoops things up.
And the long part there is called the boom. Can you see it's moving the bucket and the dipper up and down?
And down here are the tracks. They are enormous. They go round in a big loop like a giant belt moving round and round. And just take a look at these ridges.
The tracks are really important because they help the digger grip when it's going up or down a mound of earth. But why doesn't the digger sink into the soil?
Can you see how the tracks are wide and long?
This is what helps the digger stay on top of the soil.
Let me show you how. If I walk up this mound with my worker boots on, watch what happens. It's quite difficult because my boots keep slipping and they want to sink in. So let's try something else. These attachments make my feet wider. They have a bigger surface area.
Can you see how the bottoms are much wider than my shoes?
And they've also got some grips on the bottom just like the ridges on the tracks of the digger. Right, let's see if I can get up the mound. It works! It's so much easier. Now my weight is spread out across the attachments, which means I don't sink into the soil like I did in my work boots. It's exactly the same way the tracks on a digger work. And I made it to the top. But to find out how a digger does it, let's take a closer look.
As the digger goes up the mound, the tracks move round and round. The track is made up of lots of small pieces of metal called plates. The outside of the track is called the shoe. It has lots of grooves on it for gripping. The driver in the cab pulls a lever to make the digger move forward. A wheel at the back of the track called a sprocket turns. Teeth on the outside of the sprocket are locked into gaps in the track, pushing the track around. As the track turns, rollers at the bottom help move the track along the ground. If the digger hits a bumpy patch, the idler wheel at the front is pushed back into a spring, which helps the digger bounce back and keep moving along.
Diggers are really useful, aren't they? Now, let's go and see our digger in action. I've brought some of my special cameras with me to attach to the digger. This one is going to look at the tracks as the digger goes up and over the mounds.
This camera will let us see the bucket scoop up soil.
And this one gives us a view from the cab, showing us what Adrian sees.
Time to get digging.
Now Adrian's taking the digger to the other side of the building site. Looks like it's time for a delivery. The ground is really bumpy, isn't it? But the recoil spring is keeping the digger nice and steady.
And the shoes are gripping the stones so it can climb up to the top.
Whoa! This digger weighs the same as 4 T-Rex dinosaurs, but it's not sinking into the soil, is it? That's because those wide tracks are spreading the weight, just like my shoe attachments. Adrian is lowering and raising the bucket as it scoops up soil to put in the back of the tipper truck. He doesn't even have to move the tracks because the cab rotates. How clever is that?
And lastly, Adrian pulls a lever so the bucket can tip the soil into the truck.
There it goes. I think diggers are amazing. What was your favourite bit about finding out how a digger works?
Can you remember what the outside of the track is called? That's right, it's the shoe. Did you like the sound of the digger's engine? Wow! And did you see the bucket dump the soil into the tipper truck on my special camera?
When I visit muddy places or it's wet weather, I always like to wear my wellies. Do you have wellies? I've got red ones. Wellies are great because you can walk in muddy places, jump in puddles, and they'll always keep our feet nice and dry. But how do they keep our feet dry? Do you know how wellies are made? Let's find out.
How is it made?
Wellies.
Wellies are made in a place like this.
A wellie factory.
Here they make wellies in lots of different colours and sizes. Wellies are made from a type of plastic called PVC. It's smooth, shiny and flexible, so they're comfortable to wear and easy to pull on and off. And on the bottom is the sole, which has grooves in it. And this helps us to grip in the rain and the mud. Today at the factory are making blue wellies with red soles. Wellie making starts with these thousands of PVC pellets. And to make a pair of wellies a bit like this, we're going to need this amount of pellets, 600 grams. That's about the same weight as 12 hen eggs. But they don't look very colourful, do they? So we have to add some smaller blue pellets to the clear PVC ones to make our final mix. The pellets go into this metal barrel here, where they're heated up to around 180 degrees. That's the same temperature as you'd have an oven at home if you were baking a cake. Inside the barrel, the pellets melt and go runny. But we've got one melting machine for the blue mix and another for a red mix. Look, can you see the red pellets mixed in with the clear ones? And now for the fun part. Look at this machine. It's called an injection mould. And this is Roger. It's his job to keep things running smoothly. These two parts are the top and bottom mould for the welly boot. It's a bit like a jelly mould, except this is a welly mould. This part here, that's a mould for the sole of the boot. And then this is the model foot, which is the size that we want our welly boot to fit. First, Roger puts a sock on the model foot, and that will make the inside of the boot. Then he presses a button, and off we go. I've got one of my special cameras on a long pole, and it's connected to my phone screen so that I can see what's going on, and we can find out what happens next. Each machine has 10 welly moulds on it. That will make 5 pairs of wellies. And watch how the injection mould goes round and round. It's like a carousel for wellies. Let's take a look underneath the machine. The runny PVC liquid is being pushed from the melting machine into the injection mould by these pistons. First, the red PVC goes in to make the sole of the boot. Next, the sole gets pressed onto the model foot, ready for the blue PVC. When the piston moves forward, it's pushing the runny blue PVC liquid into the mould to make the boot. And this mould makes the part of the welly you put your foot inside. And here it is. A welly! The liquid PVC has cooled down and turned back into a solid in the same shape as the welly mould. How brilliant is that? But they're not quite finished yet. The wellies have some rough edges and a bit too much sock poking out, so they need a good trim. And that's Tracy's job. Can you hear the buzzy sound of the trimming machine? And here we have a finished pair of blue and red wellies, ready to have some splashy fun in. What did you like most about seeing how wellies are made? Do you remember the name of the material wellies are made of? That's right, it's PVC. Did you hear the sound of the machine that trims the top of the wellies? And did you see my special camera when the pistons were injecting the moulds? So the next time you're splashing around, having fun in wellies, you'll know how they're made. And if you see a digger, you'll know how the tracks work to move it over muddy ground. Right, I think it's about time to get this lot moved. I'll see you next time. Take it away, Adrian! Maddie, and today I'm washing the dirty dishes in the sink. Do you help do the dishes? At home, we use water in lots of different ways, don't we? We use it to wash up, cook, clean, and drink. But how does the water come out of the tap ready to drink? Do you know where clean water comes from? Let's find out. How does it work?
Clean drinking water.
To find out where drinking water comes from, I'm starting at a reservoir.
A reservoir is where lots of water is stored to be used in our homes. Where does all this water come from?
Some water comes from the land.
When it rains, the water runs off the land into the rivers.
Some water comes from under the ground and out of small holes in the earth called springs.
And some gets recycled after it's gone down the plug hole. But how does water from all these places get to the reservoir into our homes? Where does it go?
Can you hear that sound?
All of this water has travelled through drains and pipes from our homes.
Sounds like a waterfall, doesn't it? Well, this is called a water inlet. And all of the water rushes down there and it ends up in here at the reservoir, along with all the rainwater and the spring water. But where does the water from the reservoir go? Over there is a tower called a draw-off tower, but we can only see the top of it. The rest of the tower goes 20 metres down underwater. That's about as tall as 4 giraffes standing on top of each other. Look how tall it is. And I've been given special permission to take a look inside. The draw-off tower is where all the water from the reservoir is taken out to be cleaned. Wow, I've got to get all the way down there. Inside the draw-off tower are pipes, and inside the pipes are valves. The valves open and close, and when they open, water can rush through from the reservoir through the pipes. When they close, the water stops. And when the valve opens, the water moves along the pipes to here. This is the water treatment plant. And here there are different types of tanks where the water from the reservoir is cleaned so we can drink it. But to find out how the reservoir and the water treatment plant work together to get the water really clean, I think we need to take a closer look.
The reservoir collects water from natural springs and rivers, the rain, and water inlets. A draw tower opens its valves, which lets water from the reservoir travel down pipes to a screen that filters out any litter or waste. The water passes into the water treatment plant and goes through 4 different cleaning tanks that make our water really clean before travelling along pipes into our homes. So we can drink clean water from the tap.
That was so interesting. And here is our first set of cleaning tanks. They're called flocculators.
What a funny name.
Inside the tanks, the water is mixed with a liquid called ferric, and ferric has bits of iron in it. The iron works like a magnet, collecting all of the dirt and grit that's in the water.
And these paddles help to mix the dirt in the water with the ferric before it goes inside to the next set of tanks.
To get the water really clean, air is pumped into the bottom of these tanks. They're called dissolved air flotation tanks. Can you see that the water at the top of the tank is brown and foamy?
That's all the ferric with dirt stuck to it.
And over there, those are skimmers that are skimming the sludge off the top. But I wonder what's happening underneath the water.
Time for one of my special underwater cameras,
Okay, we're recording.
which I've attached to a long pole. Look at all all those bubbles? The air is pushing dirt from the bottom of the tank to the surface. So it goes really brown and sludgy on the top.
Watch what happens when I put the camera in the water.
It still looks brown, but can you see all the lumps are floating up to the surface, ready to be skimmed off by the skimmers? Next, the water is pumped outside to these huge tanks to be cleaned even more.
These tanks are full of this stuff. It's called carbon. And carbon is a natural material. And it's got a really lumpy, bumpy surface. The water passes through the carbon, and any chemicals that we can't see in the water get trapped in all of those lumps and bumps, leaving the rest of the clean water to filter through, ready for the final stage.
This is called disinfecting, and inside those pipes, anything that is not good for us to drink is taken out of the water.
And now the water is clean. From here, the drinking water is pumped through underground pipes and is kept in storage tanks that will hold the water so we're ready to use it in our homes. I loved finding out how we get clean water. What was your favourite bit?
Can you remember the name of the building that takes all of the water from the reservoir? That's right, it's the draw-off tower. Did you hear all the water rushing through the water inlet into the reservoir?
Sounds like a waterfall, doesn't it?
And did you see all the bubbles on my special camera in the dissolved air flotation tanks?
Did you know that plants and trees get the water they drink from under the ground through their roots? Some vegetables even grow underground.
Just like these vegetables. But what are they called?
Carrots. But how does a carrot grow under the ground? And why is it orange? Do you know how a carrot's made? Let's find out. How is it made?
Carrot.
To find out how carrots are made, I've come here to a carrot farm. Every carrot starts out as a tiny seed like this one, and it grows into a carrot that we can eat, like this. Most carrots are orange because they contain lots of a natural chemical called beta-carotene. Beta-carotene is a reddish-orange colour, and it's also the reason why carrots are so good for us. When we eat a carrot, our bodies take the beta-carotene and they turn it into something called vitamin A, which is great for our eyesight.
But how does a tiny seed grow into a yummy carrot? First, it needs to be planted.
To plant this entire field is going to take a really long time. So we need a bit of help with one of these.
A tractor pulling a special machine called a seed drill. You should never play on or go near farm machinery without a grown-up, but I've got special permission to show you how it works.
This is a seed hopper, and if we take a look inside, there are thousands and thousands of carrot seeds. But look, they're green. The seeds have been dyed green so the farmer can see where they've been planted because they're so tiny. Now the seeds, they're sucked onto this disc into those tiny little holes, and the disc spins around, and then the seeds are knocked off one at a time at the bottom so they're perfectly spaced apart in the soil. Should we see it in action?
The seed drill has 10 hoppers full of seeds and can plant 5 million seeds every hour.
When the seed is in the ground, it soaks up water, and after about a week, a root will grow down and a shoot will pop up above the soil, and this stage is called germination.
After around 3 months, that little shoot turns into these big green plants.
It's like the carrot's fluffy hairstyle, isn't it?
But what does a carrot need to grow?
The leaves collect sunlight.
And at the same time, a gas called carbon dioxide, which is in the air all around us. And the carrot roots collect water from the ground. The sunlight, carbon dioxide and water all work together inside the carrot to make food, so the carrot can grow. It's called photosynthesis. To see the carrots underground, I'm going to use one of my special cameras. This is called a probe. It's perfect for finding carrots because it's bendy and it can get into lots of unusual places. Look, it's like a wiggly worm. Right, let's see what we can find. Whoa! Can you see the tiny baby carrot going in the ground? I wonder how deep the root goes. Let's move this a bit. Can you see all of those wiry little hairs? Those are more roots that are sprouting out of the sides of the carrot. This is how the carrot gets water from the soil. I think these carrots have a bit more growing to do though, so I'm going to leave them where they are. But what happens to the water once it's inside the carrot? Here we go. This part of the carrot is called the central core. And inside the central core is something called xylem. It's the xylem that carry water all the way up to the leaves so the carrot can grow. Works a little bit like a straw. Clever, isn't it? After 5 months, the farmer covers the carrots in straw to keep them warm until they're ready to be picked. This is a harvester, and I've been given special permission to jump on board and see the carrots that have been pulled up out of the ground. The harvester digs into the ground underneath the carrots and scoops them up into the harvester, where they go up a lift and come out here onto a conveyor belt. They go along this wobbly conveyor belt that jiggles all of the dirt off them. Can you hear it? The carrot then finishes its journey by dropping into a big container. That was brilliant. And here's one now. I loved finding out how carrots are made. What was your favourite part? Do you remember the name of the machine that planted the seeds into the ground? That's right, it's called a seed drill. Did you hear the sound the conveyor belt made on the harvester? And did you see the tiny carrots growing underground on my special camera? So the next time you see carrots at the shops, you'll know how they grew underground. And when you have a glass of water from the tap, you'll know how it was cleaned, so it's safe for us to drink. I'll see you next time.
There are lots of things